Listen, I am not playing with you, girl. Now, what is your problem?
It is none of your business, Will. Will, what are you doing?
Oh, I gotta get a little barbecue sauce. Dude tried to play me down there.
Champagne!
Oh, great. I love champagne. I love the...
35 years after Fresh Prince ended, Tatyana Ali's career transformation will leave you speechless. America's sweetheart from the Banks family disappeared from Hollywood at the height of her fame.
After Fresh Prince, right during the end, we started recording. And then that whole year, a couple years after, that's when I started to put out music, and that's when we also did music together.
At the time, dark secrets about her career struggles were surfacing. Tatyana Ali was hiding battles that would shock her fans.
It was something that set me apart, and not necessarily a good way.
Tatyana Ali walked away from million-dollar opportunities to pursue something Hollywood considered career. This decision that saved her soul but cost her everything the industry promised. So let's get into it. Tatyana Marisol Ali was born January 24, 1979, in North Belmore, New York, into a world where she would never quite fit anywhere. Her father was Indo-Trinidadian, her mother Afro-Panamanian, and from birth she carried the burden of navigating multiple cultural identities in a society that demanded simple categories. Her parents were reportedly reluctant about her acting career from the beginning. They feared she might not pursue a stable profession, preferring she focus on traditional education rather than the uncertainty of entertainment. But even as a toddler, Tatyana possessed a natural charisma that caught the attention of talent scouts and casting directors.
I like to tell stories at 4 because I have like very clear memories of like we had chain link fences in the backyard, and I used to like talk to the neighbors and tell them stories, like to the point where like my parents had to like cry me away and be like, okay, I'm so sorry.
Her earliest television appearances included Sesame Street, where her mixed heritage and distinctive look made her stand out among the young performers. But it was this same uniqueness that would later become both her greatest asset and her deepest struggle as she navigated an industry obsessed with categorizing people by race, ethnicity, and appearance. Growing up, Tatyana faced constant questions about her identity. In Black communities, her lighter skin and longer, straighter hair earned her the label of having good hair, a term that carried complex implications about beauty standards and social hierarchy. She later revealed that this distinction made her feel different, and not necessarily in a good way.
I grew up wanting to be able to twist my hair and wanting to be able to wear my hair like my mom did and my aunts did, and because I wanted to be like them. I didn't want to be different.
The pressure was compounded by her mixed Caribbean and Indian heritage. Within her own extended family, she encountered skin tone and hair texture prejudices that existed in both Caribbean and Indian cultures. She found herself caught between communities, never feeling like she perfectly belonged in any single group. These early identity struggles would shape everything about her approach to her career and public persona. Unlike child actors who could simply focus on performance, Tatyana had to simultaneously navigate the complexities of representing multiple communities while trying to establish her own individual identity. In 1990, at just 11 years old, she auditioned for a new NBC sitcom that would change her life forever. The show was The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and the character was Ashley Banks, the youngest daughter of the wealthy Banks family. The role required someone who could portray both innocence and intelligence, someone who could grow up on screen while maintaining the character's essential sweetness.
I had done a pilot for NBC maybe like a year or two before, and they remembered me, the network remembered me from that, and so I auditioned for Fresh Prince in New York.
Tatyana's mixed heritage actually worked in her favor for the role. Ashley Banks was supposed to be part of an affluent African-American family, and Tatyana's appearance and demeanor fit the producer's vision perfectly. She could convincingly portray a privileged young girl while bringing authenticity to the character's occasional moments of cultural awareness. But landing the role also meant that her formative teenage years would be spent in the public eye, with millions of viewers watching her grow up on screen. The character of Ashley Banks was carefully crafted to be wholesome, intelligent, and family-friendly, traits that would both define and limit Tatyana's public image for years to come.
Well, what are you doing?
Oh, I gotta get a little barbecue sauce. Dude tried to play me down there.
The success of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air established Tatyana as a household name, but it also began a pattern that would follow her throughout her career, being celebrated for her talent while simultaneously being constrained by the industry's narrow definitions of who she could be and what roles she could play. From the beginning, her journey in Hollywood was shaped by the tension between her complex identity and the entertainment industry's need for simple, marketable personas. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air premiered in September 1990 and quickly became one of NBC's biggest hits. For 6 seasons, from ages 11 to 17, Tatyana Ali grew up on national television as Ashley Banks, the precocious youngest daughter of the wealthy Banks family.
Champagne!
Oh, great. I love champagne. I love the look.
But behind the scenes, she was fighting battles that her fans never saw. The show's success was unprecedented. Will Smith's charisma as the lead character, combined with the show's clever writing and diverse cast, made it a cultural phenomenon that appealed to audiences across racial and economic lines. For young Tatyana, this meant instant fame and recognition wherever she went. But playing Ashley Banks came with restrictions that grew more frustrating as Tatyana aged. The character was deliberately portrayed as innocent and childlike, with wardrobe choices that reflected this image. Tatyana was forced to wear floral dresses and cowboy boots that she later admitted she hated, feeling that the costume choices made her look overly childish when she wanted to portray more mature characters. The physical demands of maintaining Ashley's image extended beyond costumes. During one particularly memorable incident, a hairstylist on set burned her forehead with a curling iron while styling her bangs. The accident highlighted the constant pressure placed on young actors to maintain perfect appearances, often at the risk of their physical safety. By 1996, when The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air ended its run, Tatyana was ready for the show to conclude. She later admitted she was eager to move on to college, music, and new roles that would allow her to express different aspects of her personality and talent. But leaving the show also meant leaving behind the character that had defined her entire adolescence and stepping into an uncertain future in an industry that had very specific ideas about who Tatyana Ali was supposed to be. When The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air ended, 17-year-old Tatyana Ali was determined to prove she was more than just Ashley Banks. She had grown up on television, but now she wanted to show the world her true artistic abilities. Her first major post-show project would be music, and for a brief moment, it seemed like she might achieve the rare feat of successfully transitioning from child actor to recording star.
After Fresh Prince, right during the end, we started recording, and then that whole year, a couple years after, that's when I started to put out music, and that's when we also did music together.
In 1998, Tatyana released her debut single, Daydreamin', a collaboration with Lord Tariq that showcased her vocal abilities and gave her a more mature, contemporary image. The song was a genuine hit, peaking high on the charts and proving that audiences were willing to accept her as something other than the innocent Ashley Banks. The success of Daydreamin' represented everything Tatyana had hoped for: creative control, artistic credibility, and the chance to express her own identity rather than a character someone else had created. The song's hip-hop influenced sound and its accompanying music video presented her as a confident young woman ready to take on the music industry. But sustaining that success proved more difficult than achieving it. While Daydreamin' had connected with audiences, her subsequent musical efforts failed to reach the same level of commercial success. The music industry was notoriously difficult for actors trying to transition into recording, and Tatyana discovered that her association with The Fresh Prince was both an advantage and a limitation. Radio programmers and music executives struggled to separate her from Ashley Banks. Even when her music was good, there was often an underlying assumption that she was just another actor playing at being a singer rather than a serious artist deserving of respect. In 2014, she released an EP titled Hello, which represented a more mature and personal artistic statement. However, the music landscape had changed dramatically, and without major label support, her music received limited commercial traction. The struggle to establish herself as a recording artist was compounded by the ongoing challenge of typecasting in her acting career. After The Fresh Prince, while Tatyana continued to work, she never achieved the same level of mainstream stardom. Casting directors seemed unable to see her as anything other than the wholesome teenager she had played for 6 years. The entertainment industry's narrow vision of who she could be meant that roles were limited and often unsatisfying. She found herself repeatedly offered parts that were variations on Ashley Banks. Young, innocent, supportive characters who served more as plot devices than fully realized people. During this period, Tatyana made a decision that would both preserve her dignity and limit her visibility. She chose to be selective about the projects she accepted rather than take any role offered to her. This meant turning down work that might have kept her in the public eye, but would have reinforced the very typecasting she was trying to escape.
I've never asked him to hook me up like acting wise. I've always asked for him to hook me up like business wise, like, and more so like advice.
Most young performers choose the sure thing, the steady paychecks, the continued fame, but Tatyana Ali was about to make a decision that would shock Hollywood and effectively end her career as America knew it. The producers were already developing spin-offs, music executives were offering recording contracts, and movie studios were interested in starring vehicles for Ashley Banks. Everything was set up for Tatyana to seamlessly transition from child star to adult entertainer, following the path that had worked for so many others. Instead, she chose something that most people in Hollywood considered career. She decided to go to college. Not just any college, but Harvard University, where she would study African American studies and government.
Somebody who took it upon himself to share some wisdom with me. And he slid me a list, and Harvard was one of the colleges on that list. And if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have known that I could apply there.
The decision would take her away from Los Angeles, away from the entertainment industry, and away from the momentum that had been building her entire life. The acceptance letter from Harvard University arrived like a bomb in Tatyana's life. While other Fresh Prince cast members were planning their post-show careers in entertainment, Tatyana was secretly preparing to walk away from Hollywood entirely. She had been accepted to one of the most prestigious universities in the world, and she was going to attend classes like a normal 18-year-old student. The decision baffled everyone around her. Agents couldn't understand why she would abandon the momentum from 6 years of television success. Managers warned her that Hollywood had a short memory, and that taking even a year off could destroy her career permanently. Music executives who had been courting her for recording contracts suddenly went quiet, unwilling to invest in someone who might disappear for 4 years.
I've actually produced a lot, and so I've produced television and web stuff, and Will's been a real mentor in that sense.
Will Smith supported her decision, understanding better than most the importance of having something beyond entertainment to fall back on. But even he couldn't predict how dramatically the industry would change during her absence, or how difficult it would be for her to find her place again once she returned. The transition from Ashley Banks to Harvard freshman was more jarring than anyone anticipated. Tatyana had spent her entire life being recognized, being special, being the center of attention. At Harvard, she was just another student trying to fit in, except that everyone knew who she was and had expectations about who she should be. The alienation was immediate and overwhelming. Students didn't know how to approach her. Some assumed she was arrogant or thought she was better than everyone else. Others were intimidated by her celebrity status. Most just weren't sure how to treat someone who had been on television for 6 years, as if she were a normal college freshman. Tatyana's studies in African American Studies and Government opened her mind to perspectives she had never considered during her entertainment career. She was learning about structural racism, political theory, and social justice in ways that went far beyond anything she had experienced on television. The education was transformative, but it was also creating distance between her and the industry she had left behind.
I use my degree in politics in all of my choices as an actor, all of my choices as a producer. I believe very much in the power of the vote, in the necessity of us fighting to maintain that right.
Meanwhile, Hollywood was moving on without her. The late 1990s and early 2000s were crucial years for young black actresses. Roles that might have gone to Tatyana were being filled by other performers who had remained available and visible. The industry that had once courted her was no longer holding space for her return. Her music career provided a brief bridge between her old life and new one. But even her musical success felt disconnected from who she was becoming at Harvard. The songs had been recorded before she left for college, when she was still thinking like a teenage entertainer rather than a young woman discovering her intellectual and political interests. The disconnect between her public image and her private growth was becoming impossible to ignore. By her senior year, Tatyana realized she had successfully accomplished something that most child actors never manage. She had created a life outside of entertainment. She had real friends who knew her as a person rather than a character. She had academic interests that excited her more than most acting roles ever had. She had developed a sense of herself that wasn't dependent on public approval or industry validation. The question now was whether any of that would matter when she tried to return to Hollywood as an adult performer. Tatyana Ali graduated from Harvard in 2002 with a degree in African American Studies and Government, expecting to resume her entertainment career where she had left it. What she discovered instead was an industry that had moved on without her, and a Hollywood that no longer had a place for who she had become. The 4 years she had spent in Cambridge might as well have been 40 years in entertainment time. The casting directors who had known her as Ashley Banks were now working with a completely different generation of young actresses. The agents who had once courted her had filled their rosters with performers who had remained visible and available throughout the early 2000s. More fundamentally, Tatyana herself had changed in ways that made her previous career path impossible to resume. Her Harvard education had politicized her, given her perspectives on race, class, and social justice that made the typical roles offered to young black actresses feel hollow and degrading. She was no longer willing to smile and be grateful for any opportunity that came her way. Tatyana Ali stopped chasing her old career and started building a new life. Instead of fighting for major roles that never materialized, she began accepting smaller projects that aligned with her values and allowed her to maintain the family life she had chosen. Lifetime movies, Hallmark films, and guest appearances on television shows provided steady work without the pressure of carrying entire productions. The shift from mainstream Hollywood to what some might consider lesser projects was liberating in unexpected ways. Working on films like Wrapped Up in Christmas and The Good Nanny allowed her to tell stories that centered positive representation of Black families without the compromises that major studio projects often demanded.
Maybe I will take a break from dating during the holidays. Maybe through spring.
These weren't prestigious productions, but they were meaningful to the audiences who watched them. Her advocacy work became as important as her entertainment career, speaking at universities about education and civic engagement, working with organizations focused on Black maternal health, and using her platform to discuss issues she had studied at Harvard gave her a sense of purpose that acting alone had never provided. She was finally able to integrate her intellectual interests with her public presence.
And it opened up, that experience with my first birth opened up the world of reproductive justice to me, and opened my eyes to the Black maternal health care crisis.
Looking back, her disappearance from mainstream Hollywood wasn't a failure, but a successful escape from a system that would have demanded she remain frozen as Ashley Banks forever. The Harvard education that had cost her career opportunities had given her something more valuable: the intellectual tools to understand why that cost was worth paying. Tatyana Ali had learned that some forms of success require giving up other forms of success, and that choosing authenticity over fame was a trade worth making. She had found peace in the margins, building a life that honored both her entertainment legacy and her intellectual growth. The little girl who had begged for her first audition had grown into a woman who no longer needed anyone else's approval to feel successful. Anyway, that's it for the video, folks. Bye.